Chapter 1. You ever try to forget someone so completely that even your body learns to lie? That was Ophelia's life. 8 years of silence, suppressants, and pretending to be human. She thought she'd buried her wolf for good, until the night she took one breath too deep, and the air changed. Somewhere far away, the Merciless Alpha King stopped in his tracks. The pharmacy smelled like antiseptic and old carpet. Ophelia's fingers trembled as she reached for the small brown bottle on the highest shelf, the one tucked behind the cough syrup where nobody ever looked. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, too bright, too harsh. She could feel the sweat gathering at the base of her neck. "You okay, sweetie?" Mrs. Chen's voice floated from the register, thin with concern. Ophelia forced her lips into something that might pass for a smile. "Just tired. Long shift at the diner." The bottle was lighter than it should be. She shook it. 3 pills rattled inside. 3. She needed at least 20 to make it through the month. Her chest tightened. 8 years. 8 years of this exact routine. Wake up, take the suppressant, go to work, smile at customers, pretend her coffee order was the most important decision of her day, come home, take another pill, sleep, repeat. 8 years of being invisible. Of being no one. Of being safe. The bell above the door chimed. Ophelia's head snapped up. A man walked in, tall, wearing a black jacket that looked too expensive for this neighborhood. He didn't look at Mrs. Chun. He looked at the vitamin aisle like he was memorizing it. Something cold slithered down Ophelia's spine. She grabbed the bottle and walked to the counter, keeping her movements slow, easy. Normal. Mrs. Chun rang her up with the same small talk she always did. Weather, her grandson's soccer game, the new Chinese restaurant on 5th. Ophelia nodded in all the right places. But her eyes kept drifting to the man in the black jacket. He still hadn't picked up anything. "That'll be $12.50, hon." Ophelia handed over exact change and took the small paper bag. The door chimed again as she stepped outside. The September air hit her face, cool and damp. Rain was coming. She could smell it in the way the wind moved, thick and metallic. She'd always been able to smell rain coming. Even now. Even after all the pills. Her apartment was 6 blocks away. She walked fast, hands shoved in her jacket pockets, shoulders hunched. The streetlights flickered on one by one as the sky darkened. A car passed, headlights cutting through the dusk. She didn't look back. But she felt it. That prickle at the back of her neck. The one that said someone's watching. She turned down Maple Street, then cut through the alley behind the hardware store. Faster now. Her breath came in short bursts. Stupid. She was being stupid. Nobody knew. Nobody could know. She'd been so careful. The apartment building appeared like a ghost in the dim light. Brick for stories, bars on half the windows. Home. She took the stairs 2 at a time, keys already in her hand. 3rd floor. Door at the end of the hall. She shoved the key in the lock and twisted. Inside. Door closed. Deadbolt. Chain. Ophelia leaned against the door and closed her eyes. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Before I go further, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you're hooked already, a like and subscribe will keep these stories coming. She pushed off the door and crossed the small living room to the kitchenette. The brown bottle sat on the counter. She opened it and shook one pill into her palm. Tiny. White. Her entire life in a capsule. She swallowed it dry. Then she pulled out her phone and opened the calendar app. Red dots marked every day for the past 8 years. Not one missed. Not one. Today's dot wasn't red. She stared at the screen. Her thumb hovered over the mark button. A knock at the door made her drop the phone. It clattered against the linoleum. The screen cracked. Another knock. Harder this time. "Delivery," a man's voice called. Ophelia didn't move. She hadn't ordered anything. "Lady, I got a package here for Ophelia Grant. You want it or not?" Her name. Her fake name. The one she'd used for 8 years. It should have been comforting. But the way he said it, flat, too careful, made her skin crawl. "Leave it by the door," she called back. Silence. Then footsteps. Retreating down the hall. She waited. Counted to 60. Then crept to the door and looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty except for a small cardboard box sitting on her doormat. She unlocked the deadbolt. The chain. Opened the door just wide enough to grab the box and yank it inside. No return address. Just her name written in black marker. She set it on the counter and stared at it. The smart thing would be to throw it away. Unopened. The smart thing would be to pack a bag and leave tonight. Find another city, another name, another 8 years. But her fingers were already pulling at the tape. Inside was a glass vial, clear liquid, and a note. "You're running out, aren't you?" Her stomach dropped. The vial looked identical to her suppressants. Same color, same viscosity. But it wasn't from the pharmacy. It couldn't be. Mrs. Chun made those herself, ground from herbs Ophelia had spent 3 years identifying. Nobody else knew the formula. Unless someone had been watching, learning. Ophelia's hands shook as she picked up the vial. There was something else in the box. A photograph. She almost didn't look. But she did. And the world tilted. It was her. 8 years ago. Standing in front of the Grand Hall in the Northern Territory. White dress. Flowers in her hair. And beside her, his hand on her waist, was Connor. The Merciless Alpha King. Her mate. The photograph crumpled in her fist. She couldn't breathe. The edges of her vision went dark and fuzzy. No. This wasn't happening. She'd been so careful. She'd faked her death. She'd watched from the tree-lean as they burned an empty casket. She'd heard Connor's howl split the night in half. He thought she was dead. Everyone thought she was dead. So who sent this? She looked at the note again. Turned it over. On the back, in smaller handwriting. He never stopped looking. A sound ripped from her throat. Half sob, half laugh. Of course he didn't. Connor didn't stop. That's what made him merciless. She grabbed her phone off the floor. The cracked screen still worked. She pulled up her messages and scrolled to a number she hadn't texted in 3 years. "I need to move. Now." The reply came 30 seconds later. "What happened?" "Someone knows." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "Pack a bag. I'll send coordinates. Don't bring your phone." Ophelia looked around the apartment. 8 years of life reduced to what she could carry. She pulled a duffel bag from under the bed and started throwing things in. Clothes. Toothbrush. The brown bottle. The vial from the box. She hesitated, then shoved it in the side pocket. Her phone buzzed. A pin dropped in her messages. A location 2 hours south. Middle of nowhere. She grabbed the bag and headed for the door. Then stopped. The photograph was still on the counter. Crumpled. She should leave it. Burn it. Forget it ever existed. But her hand reached for it anyway. Smoothed it out. Connor's face stared back at her, frozen in time. He looked happy. She'd forgotten he could look like that. She tucked the photo in her jacket pocket. Mistake. She knew it was a mistake. But she did it anyway. The rain started 20 minutes into the drive. Ophelia had stolen a car from the lot behind her building. Old Honda, easy to hotwire, wouldn't be reported missing until morning. The windshield wipers beat a steady rhythm. The highway stretched black and endless ahead. Her phone sat on the passenger seat. She was supposed to leave it, but she couldn't. Not yet. It buzzed. She glanced down. Unknown number. Her finger hovered over the screen. Then she answered. "Hello, Ophelia." The voice stopped her heart. Deep. Familiar. Like gravel and smoke. "You're supposed to be dead," Connor said. Not angry. Not sad. Just factual. Like he was commenting on the weather. She should hang up. Throw the phone out the window. But her mouth moved anyway. "How did you get this number?" "I've had it for 6 years." A pause. "You used it to order takeout from that Thai place on 7th. Tuesdays and Fridays. Always the same thing. Pad CEW extra tofu." Her hands tightened on the wheel. "You've been watching me." "No." His voice dropped lower. "If I'd been watching you, you'd know. Someone else found you. And they told me." "Who? Does it matter?" She could hear him moving. Footsteps. A door closing. "You ran, Ophelia. You faked your death and you ran. Do you know what that did to the pack? Do you know what that did to me? You would have killed me." The words came out sharper than she meant. Silence on the other end. Then soft. "Is that what you think? You killed the last 3 people who tried to leave. They weren't my mate." The word hit her like a fist. Mate. She hadn't heard it in 8 years. Hadn't let herself think it. "I'm not your mate anymore," she said. "I severed the bond." "You can't sever a mate bond." His voice turned hard. "You can suppress it. Bury it. Pretend it doesn't exist. But you can't sever it. And you know that." The rain came down harder. The road blurred. "What do you want, Connor?" "I want you to stop running. So you can drag me back? Lock me up? Make an example out of me. So I can understand why you left. The sincerity in his voice made her chest ache. She hated that. Hated that 8 years of distance could evaporate with one sentence. I left because I had to. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. She hung up, threw the phone on the passenger seat. Her hands were shaking again. The coordinates led her to a motel on the outskirts of a town she'd never heard of. One story. Flickering neon sign. The kind of place where nobody asked questions. Room 12. The door was already unlocked. She pushed it open slowly. The room was dark except for a single lamp on the nightstand. And sitting on the bed, arms crossed, was a woman with silver hair and eyes like ice. "You're late," the woman said. "Vieira." Ophelia dropped her bag. "How bad is it?" "Worse than you think." Vieira stood and walked to the window. Pulled the curtain back an inch. "Connor's got trackers in 3 cities. They're not looking for you specifically. Not yet. But they're asking questions. Showing your picture. The old picture or both." Ophelia's stomach turned. How did he get a recent one? Vieira let the curtain fall. "Someone on the inside. Someone who's been watching you for him." "Who?" "I don't know yet." Vieira turned to face her. "But whoever it is, they're good. They knew about the suppressants. They knew about Mrs. Chun. They've been documenting everything." Ophelia sank onto the bed. 8 years. 8 years of hiding. And someone had been watching the whole time. "There's more," Vieira said. "Of course there is. Connor's hosting the annual Alpha gathering next month. Every pack leader in the region will be there. He's going to announce something." "Announce what?" Vieira's expression didn't change. "That he's found his mate. And he's bringing her home." The room tilted. "He can't. I'm not going back. He seems to think you are." "Well, he's wrong." Ophelia stood. Paced. The motel room was too small. The walls too close. "I'll run again. Farther this time. Different country. Different continent." "Ophelia." Vieira's voice went soft. "You can't run forever. Watch me. Your suppressants are failing." The words hung in the air like smoke. Ophelia stopped pacing. "What?" "The herbs Mrs. Chen's been using, they're losing potency. Your body's building resistance. I'd give you another 6 months. Maybe less." Vieira pulled a small bag from her jacket and tossed it on the bed. "I brought you a different formula. Stronger. But it has side effects." "What kind of side effects?" "The kind that make you wish you were dead." Ophelia picked up the bag. Inside were pills. Darker than her usual ones. They smelled bitter. "How long will these last?" "A year. Maybe 2. After that." Vieira shrugged. "There's nothing left. Your wolf will come back. And when it does, the bond will snap into place like it never left. So I have 2 years. At most." Ophelia looked at the pills in her hand. 2 years. She could disappear in 2 years. Find somewhere so remote Connor would never find her. Somewhere she could live out the rest of her life alone. It sounded like hell. But it sounded better than going back. "Thank you," she said quietly. Vieira nodded. "Get some sleep. We'll move again in the morning." She left without another word. The door clicked shut. Ophelia sat on the bed and stared at the pills. Then at the vial from the mystery package, still in her bag. 2 options. 2 paths. She chose the one she knew. Swallowed one of Vieira's pills. And waited for the side effects to start. They started an hour later. Fire. That's what it felt like. Fire crawling through her veins, burning from the inside out. She doubled over on the bed, gasping. Her vision went white. Then red. Then black. Somewhere in the distance, she heard herself screaming. But there was something else too. A pull. Like a rope tied around her ribs, yanking her north. Back toward the territory. Back toward Connor. The bond. It was waking up. And miles away, in the grand hall of the Northern Territory, Connor stood at the window and pressed his hand against the glass. He felt it too. She was close. Closer than she'd been in years. And this time, he wasn't letting her go. Chapter 2. The fire didn't stop. It crawled through her bones, her muscles, every nerve ending lit up like gasoline meeting flame. Ophelia's fingers dug into the motel sheets, twisting them until her knuckles went white. This wasn't supposed to happen. The pills were supposed to suppress. To silence. Not this. Never this. She rolled off the bed and hit the floor hard. The carpet smelled like cigarettes and decades of regret. Her phone, Connor's phone, the one she should have thrown away, buzzed on the nightstand. Over and over. The sound drilled into her skull. She couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. The pull was stronger now, that invisible rope around her ribs yanking her north with every heartbeat. She could feel him. Actually feel him. His anger. His satisfaction. His relief. He knew the pills had failed. Another buzz. Then another. She dragged herself across the floor and grabbed the phone. 17 missed calls. All from the same unknown number. A text came through. Stop fighting it. Her thumb hovered over the screen. She should block him. Destroy the phone. But her hands were shaking too hard, and the pain was everywhere, and some desperate part of her wanted to hear his voice again. Just once. She called him back. He answered before the first ring finished. Where are you? Like you don't already know. Her voice came out hoarse, broken. The motel on Highway 9. Room 12. I know. A pause. I'm asking where you are. In your head. Right now. The question caught her off guard. She pressed her forehead against the floor. I'm in hell. The new pills. How did you? Because I can feel it. His voice dropped. Every spike of pain. Every time your heart races. The bond's waking up, Ophelia. You can't drug it back to sleep this time. She wanted to argue. To tell him he was wrong. But another wave of fire rolled through her, and she bit down on her lip hard enough to taste blood. There's a way to make it stop, Connor said. I'm not coming back. I'm not asking you to. Not yet. She heard him move. A door opening. Wind. Accept the bond. Stop fighting it. The pain will ease. And then what? You'll own me. That's not how mate bonds work. Isn't it? She forced herself to sit up. The room spun. You're the Alpha King. I accept the bond, and I become another piece on your board. Another weapon. Another thing you control. Silence. Long enough that she thought he'd hung up. Then, is that really what you think I wanted? A weapon. I think you wanted a queen who'd smile and obey and never question you. The words came out bitter. I think you wanted someone who'd make you look strong. And when I didn't fit that picture, when I started asking why you killed those people, why you let the council make decisions that hurt our own pack, you looked at me like I was the problem. I looked at you like you were going to get yourself killed. His voice turned sharp. You questioned the council in front of the other alphas. You made me look weak. Do you know what happens to weak alphas, Ophelia? They get challenged. They get torn apart. Their packs get absorbed. I couldn't protect you if I looked weak. So you chose them over me. I chose survival. For both of us. The pain was easing. Just slightly. Enough that she could think past it. And the people you executed? Was that survival too? They tried to overthrow the pack. They were planning to kill half the council and install themselves as leaders. What was I supposed to do? Give them a warning? You could have exiled them. Exile is a death sentence. You know that. At least execution is quick. Ophelia closed her eyes. She'd heard this argument before. The night before she left. They'd screamed at each other until her voice gave out, and Connor had looked at her with something that might have been heartbreak and said, If you can't understand why I do what I do, then you don't understand what it means to lead. She'd left the next morning. Faked her death by afternoon. Why didn't you look for me? The question slipped out before she could stop it. What? You said you never stopped looking. But it took 8 years for you to find me. Why? Another pause. Longer this time. Because part of me thought you were right. That stopped her cold. About what? About me. About the kind of alpha I'd become. His voice went quiet. When I found your body, when I thought it was your body, I felt relieved. And I hated myself for it. Because it meant you were free. Free of me. Free of the choices I'd made. The things I'd done. Ophelia's chest tightened. Connor. I looked for you anyway. Spent 3 years turning over every rock, following every lead. But you were good. Better than I gave you credit for. And eventually I thought, maybe it's better this way. Maybe you deserve a life without me in it. Then why come for me now? Because someone else found you first. And if they can find you, so can others. People who'll use you to get to me. People who'll hurt you just to watch me break. His voice hardened. I won't let that happen. The pull in her chest twisted. She could feel his conviction like it was her own. The bond was definitely waking up. Who found me? I don't know yet. But they're connected to someone in my territory. Someone close enough to know about the suppressants, about your fake death. Someone who's been feeding them information. You have a traitor. Yes. And you think bringing me back will draw them out? I think keeping you alive is more important than politics. A beat. But yes. If you come back, they'll make a move. And I'll be ready. Ophelia laughed. It hurt. So I'm bait. You're my mate. There's a difference. Is there? The silence stretched. She could hear him breathing. Could almost see him. Standing at that window in the grand hall, hand pressed to the glass, jaw tight with frustration. Come home, he said finally. Please. The please broke something in her. Connor didn't say please. Not to anyone. Not ever. I need time, she whispered. You don't have time. Whoever's hunting you knows where you are. They sent that package. They're watching. And if they wanted you dead, you'd be dead already. Which means they want something else. Like what? Like leverage. Against me. The motel door exploded inward. Ophelia dropped the phone. 3 men stood in the doorway. Large. Broad-shouldered. Eyes that reflected the lamplight wrong. Wolves. Not Connors. The first one smiled. Hello, little queen. We've been looking for you. She moved on instinct. Grabbed the lamp from the nightstand and threw it. It hit the first man in the face. Glass shattered. He stumbled back with a roar. The second man lunged. Ophelia dove left. Her suppressants were failing, but her reflexes weren't. She rolled, came up near the bathroom door. The third man blocked her exit. Easy, he said. Hands up. Placating. We're not here to hurt you. Funny way of showing it. She grabbed the bathroom doorknob. Locked herself inside. The window was small, high up, but she could fit. Something heavy slammed against the door. Once. Twice. The wood splintered. She climbed onto the toilet. Shoved the window open. Squeezed through just as the door gave way. Hands grabbed her ankle. She kicked. Felt her heel connect with something soft. A grunt. The grip loosened. She pulled herself through and dropped onto the pavement behind the motel. Pain shot up her leg. She ignored it. Ran. The parking lot was empty except for her stolen Honda and a black SUV with tinted windows. She ran for the car, fumbled for the keys in her pocket. Behind her, she heard the window break. Footsteps hitting pavement. The car door opened. She threw herself inside. Jammed the key in the ignition. The engine turned over. Died. No. No, no, no. She tried again. The engine sputtered. A fist punched through the driver's side window. Glass rained down. Ophelia screamed. Hands grabbed her jacket, dragging her out. She fought. Clawed. Bit down on someone's arm hard enough to taste blood. They dropped her. She hit the pavement hard. Her vision swam. Through the blur, she saw them circling. 3 wolves. Not shifted, but close. Their eyes glowed amber in the dark. The Alpha King's going to pay a fortune for you, the first one said. Blood dripped from his nose where the lamp had hit. You're worth more than gold, little queen. More than territory. You're his weakness. Then you don't know him at all, Ophelia spat. The man crouched down. Reached for her. Maybe. But we're about to find out. A growl cut through the night. Deep. Guttural. The kind of sound that made prey animals freeze. Everyone turned. At the edge of the parking lot, standing in the pool of light from the street lamp, was a wolf. Massive. Black as midnight. As like ice. Connor. The 3 men shifted immediately. Bones cracked. Skin split. Within seconds, 3 wolves stood where men had been. Connor didn't wait. He moved like liquid death. The first wolf didn't even see him coming. Connor's jaws closed around its throat and twisted. The wolf dropped, whimpering. The second lunged. Connor met it midair. They collided with a sound like thunder. Rolled across the pavement in a tangle of fur and teeth. Connor came out on top. His claws raked down the other wolf's side. Blood sprayed. The third wolf ran. Connor let it go. He shifted back. Stood over Ophelia, chest heaving, blood on his hands. Are you hurt? She stared up at him. 8 years. 8 years since she'd seen him in person. He looked older. Harder. Scars she didn't recognize crossed his chest and arms. His hair was longer. But his eyes, those were the same. Blue-gray. Storm-colored. Looking at her like she was the only thing that mattered. How did you? I was already on my way. The bond. He crouched down. Reached for her face. Stopped himself. I felt your fear. Are you hurt? I don't think so. She let him help her up. Her leg protested but held. You killed them. They put their hands on you. Said like that explained everything. Maybe it did. The wolf he'd wounded was still alive. Barely. Connor walked over to it. The wolf whimpered. Tried to crawl away. Who sent you? Connor's voice was ice. The wolf shifted back. A young man, maybe 25. Blood poured from the gashes in his side. I can't. You can. And you will. Connor pressed his foot against the wounds. The man screamed. I'll ask once more. Who sent you? The Crescent Moon Pack. Alpha Dimitri. He said you'd pay anything to get her back. That we could name our price. Connor's expression didn't change. Dimitri's dead. Has been for 3 years. The man's eyes went wide. No, I just spoke to him last week. He gave us her location. Someone's using his name. Connor removed his foot. Who gave you the orders directly? A woman. Silver hair. Called herself Vieira. Ophelia's blood turned to ice. Connor's gaze snapped to her. You know that name. She was helping me. She gave me the new pills. Ophelia's mind raced. Vieira had found her 3 years ago. Offered to help her stay hidden. Had been feeding her information about Connor's movements, about trackers, about everything. Had been watching her the whole time. Where is she now? Connor demanded. The man coughed. Blood bubbled at his lips. She said she'd meet us after. Take the girl. Deliver her to who? Don't know. She didn't say. His eyes started to glaze. Please. I have a family. Kids. I didn't know she was yours. I swear I didn't. Connor pulled out his phone. Dialed. I need a medic at the motel on Highway 9. And a cleanup crew. He hung up. Looked at Ophelia. Get in my car. Connor. Now. She wanted to argue. But the look on his face stopped her. This wasn't the Connor she'd left. This was the Merciless Alpha King. The one who didn't ask twice. She walked to the black SUV. Climbed in. Connor followed. Started the engine. They pulled out of the parking lot just as headlights appeared in the distance. The silence in the car was suffocating. Vieira, Connor said finally. How long has she been helping you? 3 years. And you trusted her. She saved my life twice. Warned me when your trackers got close. Gave me new identities when I needed them. Ophelia stared out the window. I thought she was a friend. She was a plant. Someone put her in place to monitor you. To keep you alive but keep you vulnerable. Connor's hands tightened on the wheel. And when the time was right, she'd deliver you to whoever's pulling the strings. Why wait 3 years? Because they needed something from me first. Some assurance. Some deal. He glanced at her. The Alpha Gathering. It's in 3 weeks. Every major pack will be there. If someone wanted to make a move against me, that's when they'd do it. And I'm the bait. No. His voice softened. You're the reason I don't walk into that gathering blind. Whoever wants you, they've just shown their hand. Ophelia processed that. So what now? Now you come home. You stay in the territory where I can protect you. And we figure out who's trying to start a war. I can't go back there, Connor. You don't have a choice. There's always a choice. He pulled the car over. Abrupt. They were on a dark stretch of highway, trees pressing in on both sides. He turned to face her. You're right. There is. You can come with me, stay safe, and help me stop whatever's coming. Or you can run again. Take your chances with Vieira still out there. With whoever she's working for knowing exactly where you are and exactly how to hurt you. You're manipulating me. I'm giving you the truth. He reached out. Slowly. Gave her time to pull away. When she didn't, his hand cupped her face. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. I let you go once. I won't do it again. Not because I want to control you. But because I can't. I can't lose you twice. The bond hummed between them. Alive. Awake. Demanding. Ophelia closed her eyes. If I come back, things are different. I'm not your trophy. I'm not going to smile and nod while you make decisions I don't agree with. I know. I want to say in the council. In pack matters. Done. And if I find out you're using me as bait without telling me, I'm gone. For real this time. Connor smiled. Small. Sad. Deal. She opened her eyes. Looked at him. Really looked. The scars. The exhaustion. The way he held himself like he was carrying the weight of the world. Maybe he was. Okay, she whispered. I'll come home. His relief hit her through the bond like a tidal wave. He pulled her close. Pressed his forehead to hers. Thank you. They sat like that for a long moment. Two people who'd spent 8 years apart, trying to remember how to exist in the same space. Finally, Connor pulled back. Started the car. "We'll be home by morning." Ophelia settled into her seat. Watched the trees blur past. "Connor?" "Yeah. Why didn't you mark me before, when we first bonded?" He didn't answer right away. His jaw worked. "Because I wanted you to choose it. Choose me. Not because the bond demanded it, but because you wanted to." He glanced at her. "You never did. I was scared. Of me. Of losing myself. Of becoming someone I didn't recognize." She looked down at her hands. "I watched my mother become my father's shadow. She had opinions, dreams, fire. And then she became his mate. And all of that just disappeared. She lived for him. Died for him when he died. I didn't want that. Your parents had a toxic bond. That's not. How do I know ours won't be the same?" Connor pulled the car over again. This time he turned the engine off. "Look at me." She did. "I don't want a shadow. I don't want someone who agrees with everything I say. I want," he struggled for words, "I want my equal. Someone who'll call me on my mistakes. Someone who'll stand beside me, not behind me. And if you think I want you to lose yourself, then I've already failed as your mate." Tears burned her eyes. "You really mean that? Every word?" She leaned across the console. Kissed him. It was supposed to be quick. A test. But the bond caught fire, and suddenly his hands were in her hair, and her fingers were gripping his shirt, and 8 years of distance collapsed into nothing. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Connor rested his forehead against hers again. "We should go." "Yeah." Neither of them moved. "Connor. Someone's watching us." His entire body went tense. "Where?" 3 o'clock. "In the trees. They've been there since we stopped." Connor's eyes flashed amber. He reached under his seat, pulled out a gun. "Stay in the car." "Like hell." He opened his door. Stepped out slowly. Ophelia followed. The night air was cold. Too quiet. The trees rustled. A figure stepped out of the shadows. Silver hair. Ice blue eyes. "Viera." She smiled. "Hello, Alpha King. Did you miss me?" Chapter 3. Connor moved in front of Ophelia. Not obviously. Just a slight shift. But it put him between her and Viera. "That's far enough," he said. Viera stopped at the edge of the treeline. She wore all black, tactical gear, boots made for running. A gun sat holstered at her hip. "Relax. I'm not here to fight." "Then why are you here?" Ophelia stepped around Connor. Ignored his warning growl. "You sold me out. Sent those wolves to kidnap me." "I sent them to get you away from Connor." Viera's expression didn't change. "There's a difference. Semantics. Survival." Viera's gaze flicked to Connor. "You think going back to his territory is safe? You think he can protect you from what's coming? And you can." Connor's voice was ice. "I've kept her alive for 3 years. You lost her in 3 days." Viera took a step forward. Connor raised the gun. She stopped. Raised her hands. "I'm not your enemy. You're working for someone. Someone who wants Ophelia. That makes you my enemy." "I'm working for Ophelia." Viera looked past him. "I tried to do this the easy way. Tried to get you somewhere safe before Connor dragged you back into his war. But you wouldn't listen." "What war?" Ophelia demanded. Viera's jaw tightened. "The one that's been brewing since you left. The one Connor's been ignoring while he plays king." Connor's finger moved to the trigger. "Choose your next words carefully." "Or what? You'll shoot me?" "Go ahead." Viera dropped her hands. "But then you'll never know who's planning to challenge you at the gathering. You'll walk in blind. And Ophelia will die in the crossfire." The words hung in the air like poison. Ophelia felt Connor's rage through the bond. "Hot. Barely controlled. You have 10 seconds to explain yourself. Then I'm putting a bullet between your eyes. There's a coalition. 5 packs. Maybe more. They've been meeting in secret for 2 years." Viera spoke fast. "They think you're weak. That you've lost your edge. They're planning to challenge you during the gathering. Strip you of your title. Absorb your territory. Let them try. They will. And they'll win." Viera's voice turned sharp. "Because they know your weakness. They know about Ophelia. They know she's alive. And they know that if they threaten her, you'll break." Connor's hand didn't waver. "How do you know this?" "Because I'm part of the coalition." The gun went off. The bullet hit the tree 6 inches from Vieira's head. She didn't flinch. Next one goes through your skull, Connor said. Then you're an idiot. Vieira glared at him. I infiltrated them. Spent 2 years earning their trust. Feeding them lies about Ophelia's location. Keeping them away from her. And now I'm here, trying to warn you, and you're going to shoot me for it. You sent wolves to kidnap her. I sent wolves to scare her. To make her run. Because running was safer than going back with you. Vieira's voice cracked. Just slightly. They weren't supposed to hurt her. They weren't supposed to touch her. But you showed up and turned it into a bloodbath. Ophelia's mind raced. The coalition. Who's leading it? Vieira hesitated. You won't believe me. Try me. Your cousin. Cade. The world stopped. Ophelia stared. That's impossible. Cade's loyal. He's Connor's second. He'd never. He's been planning this since before you disappeared. Vieira cut her off. He thinks Connor's gotten soft. That the pack needs stronger leadership. And when you vanished, when Connor spent 3 years obsessing over finding you instead of leading, Cade saw his chance. Connor lowered the gun. Slowly. You're lying. Am I? When's the last time you really looked at Cade? When's the last time you questioned where he goes? Who he meets with? Vieira took a step forward. He's the one who found Ophelia. He hired me to watch her. To keep her alive but keep her away. Because as long as she was out there, you'd never fully commit to the pack. You'd always be distracted. Weak. And now? Ophelia's voice was barely a whisper. Now the gathering's in 3 weeks. Cade's going to challenge Connor. And with 5 packs backing him, Connor doesn't stand a chance. Vieira's expression softened. Unless Ophelia stays hidden. Unless she disappears for real this time. No. Connor's voice was absolute. She's not running again. Then she's signing her own death warrant. Vieira looked at Ophelia. They'll use you against him. They'll threaten you. Hurt you. And Connor will surrender to save you. That's how this ends. Ophelia felt the bond pull tight. Felt Connor's determination. His refusal to let her go. There has to be another way. There is. Vieira pulled a flash drive from her pocket. Tossed it to Connor. Evidence. Recordings. Proof of everything I just told you. Take it. Confront Cade. Root out the coalition before the gathering. Connor caught it. Why help us? Because despite what you think, I actually give a damn about Ophelia. Vieira's voice went quiet. She saved my daughter 5 years ago. Pulled her out of a river. Didn't even know who I was. Just helped. Because that's who she is. She looked at Ophelia. I owe you a life. This is me paying it back. Ophelia remembered. A little girl. 6 years old. Brown curls. She'd been working at the diner, saw the kid fall through the ice. She'd jumped in without thinking. Nearly drowned. But she'd gotten the girl out. She'd never learned her name. That was your daughter. Vieira nodded. Lily. She's 11 now. Asks about you sometimes. The nice lady who saved her. A pause. I couldn't let them hurt you. Not after what you did. The 3 of them stood in silence. The night pressed in. Cold. Dark. Somewhere in the distance an owl called. Connor pocketed the flash drive. If you're lying. I'm not. I'll hunt you down. And I won't be merciful. I know. Vieira stepped back into the shadows. Get her home. Keep her safe. And Connor? Trust no one. Not even the people you think you know. She vanished into the trees. Connor stood still for a long moment. Then he turned to Ophelia. Get in the car. Connor. Please. The word was raw. Just get in the car. She did. They drove in silence. The flash drive sat on the dashboard like a bomb. Connor's hands gripped the wheel, so tight his knuckles went white. Do you believe her? Ophelia asked finally. I don't know. He stared at the road. Cade's been with me since we were kids. We grew up together. He's my second. My brother in everything but blood. But he questioned me. When you left. Asked why I was wasting resources looking for someone who didn't want to be found. Connor's jaw worked. I thought he was being practical. Making sure I didn't neglect the pack. But if Vieira's telling the truth. Then he was trying to keep you distracted. Yeah. Ophelia reached over. Took his hand. We'll figure it out. Together. He laced their fingers together. I'm sorry. For what? For everything. For making you feel like you had to run. For not protecting you better. For. Connor. Stop. She squeezed his hand. We both made mistakes. But we're here now. That has to count for something. He raised her hand to his lips, kissed her knuckles. It counts for everything. They drove through the night. The territory border appeared just as the sun started to rise. A stone marker. Ancient. Carved with pack symbols. Connor slowed the car. Stopped. Last chance, he said. If you want to turn back, I won't stop you. Ophelia looked at the marker. Then at him. I'm not running anymore. He smiled. Small. Real. Good. They crossed the border. The grand hall looked exactly the same. Massive stone building. Columns. Windows that caught the morning light and turned it gold. Ophelia's chest tightened. 8 years. She'd spent 8 years trying to forget this place. And here she was. Home. The word felt foreign. Connor parked near the main entrance. Guards stood at attention. Their eyes widened when they saw Ophelia. One of them grabbed a radio. Started talking urgently. They're going to stare, Connor warned. Let them. They climbed out. Ophelia's legs felt shaky. Connor stayed close. Not touching, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. The doors opened before they reached them. And standing in the entrance, backlit by the morning sun, was a man with dark hair and green eyes. Cade. Connor. His voice was smooth. Surprised. We weren't expecting you back until tonight. And you brought. He trailed off. Stared at Ophelia. No. That's impossible. Hello, Cade, Ophelia said. He crossed the distance in 3 strides. Stopped in front of her. Studied her face. You're dead. We burned your body. I watched Connor mourn you for 3 years. Turns out I'm hard to kill. Something flickered in Cade's expression. Too fast to read. Where have you been? That's not your concern, Connor cut in. Call a council meeting. 1 hour. Everyone attends. Cade's gaze snapped to him. Connor, we should talk privately first. There are things you need to know. 1 hour, Cade. The authority in Connor's voice left no room for argument. Cade's jaw tightened. But he nodded. Of course, Alpha. He disappeared back into the hall. Ophelia waited until he was out of earshot. He didn't seem surprised. Not really. I noticed. Connor's hand moved to the small of her back. Guided her inside. Come on. We need to listen to that flash drive before the meeting. Connor's private quarters were exactly as she remembered. Large. Sparse. A desk covered in paperwork. A bed that looked like it hadn't been slept in properly in years. Bookshelves. A window overlooking the forest. She'd spent so many nights in this room. Tangled in those sheets. Watching the sunrise through that window. Connor locked the door. Pulled out his laptop. Plugged in the flash drive. If there's nothing on this. He let the sentence hang. Then we know Vieira played us. He clicked the first file. An audio recording started playing. Can't keep waiting. The gathering's in 3 weeks. If we don't move then, we'll lose our chance. Cade's voice. Clear. Unmistakable. And if Connor gets wind of it? Another voice. Ophelia didn't recognize it. He won't. I've made sure of that. He's too busy chasing ghosts. Too distracted by. Connor paused the recording. His expression was stone. Keep going. Ophelia nodded. He hit play. His dead mate. The man's broken. Has been since she left. He's not the Alpha we need anymore. The pack's suffering. Territory disputes we don't address. Alliances we don't pursue. He's weak. And weakness doesn't lead. It follows. And if he doesn't surrender? If he fights the challenge? Then we kill him. And anyone loyal to him. Cade's voice turned cold. This is bigger than sentiment. This is about survival. The pack's survival. Connor had his chance. He failed. The recording ended. Connor sat in silence. His hands were shaking. Ophelia moved behind him. Wrapped her arms around his shoulders. Felt the tension in his body. I'm sorry. He's right. Connor's voice was hollow. I did fail. I spent 3 years looking for you. Neglecting the pack. Letting problems pile up. I was so focused on finding you that I didn't see what was happening right in front of me. You grieved. That's not failure. It is when you're an alpha. He turned to face her. The pack comes first. Always. That's the rule. And I broke it. The pack comes first, Ophelia agreed. But you're allowed to be human too. You're allowed to grieve. To hurt. To make mistakes. She cupped his face. And you're allowed to fix them. He closed his eyes. Leaned into her touch. I don't know if I can do this without you. Good thing you don't have to. They stayed like that for a long moment. Two people trying to find solid ground. Finally, Connor pulled back. The council meeting. We need to confront him. What if he denies it? Then we play the recording. Force his hand. And if the other council members are in on it? Connor's expression darkened. Then we find out exactly how deep this goes. The council chamber was full. 12 pack members sat around a massive oak table. Cade sat at Connor's right hand. His expression was neutral. Relaxed. Like this was just another meeting. Ophelia stood behind Connor's chair. The other council members stared at her. Some with shock. Some with suspicion. One woman, older, gray hair, sharp eyes, looked almost pleased. "Thank you for coming on short notice," Connor began. "I'm sure you're all wondering about Ophelia's return." "Wondering is one word for it," the gray-haired woman said. "We buried her 8 years ago, Connor. We mourned her. And now she's just back? With no explanation. The explanation is simple, Helena. She faked her death. She left. And now she's returned." "Why?" Another council member. Younger. Male. "Why fake her death? Why leave?" "Because she felt unsafe," Connor said. The room went silent. She questioned decisions we made. Raised concerns. And instead of listening, I silenced her. Made her feel like her voice didn't matter. So she left. Cade shifted in his chair. "Connor, this isn't the time for." "It's exactly the time." Connor's voice cut like a blade. "Because Ophelia's return has revealed something I should have seen years ago. Something I was too blind to notice." He pulled out the flash drive. Held it up. "There's a coalition. 5 packs planning to challenge me at the gathering. And someone on this council has been helping them." The room erupted. Voices overlapping. Denials. Accusations. Cade stood slowly. "Connor, what are you talking about?" "Sit down, Cade." "I won't. Not until you explain what." "I said sit down." Connor's alpha command rolled through the room. Undeniable. Absolute. Cade sat. But his eyes burned. Connor plugged the flash drive into the projector. "I'm going to play a recording. When it's done, we're going to have a very honest conversation about loyalty." He hit play. Cade's voice filled the room. Talking about challenges. About killing Connor. About the pack's survival. The color drained from Cade's face. When the recording ended, Connor turned to him. "Do you deny it?" That's not." Cade's jaw worked. "That's taken out of context." "I was." "There are 12 more recordings." Connor's voice was ice. "Want me to play those too?" Cade's hands clenched into fists. "You don't understand. I did this for the pack. You've been absent. Distracted. We've lost territory. Lost respect. Other packs see us as weak. I was trying to." "You were trying to stage a coup." Connor leaned forward. "You were planning to kill me. You're Alpha. Your brother. You stopped being my brother the day you chose a dead woman over the living pack." Cade's control shattered. He stood. 3 years, Connor. 3 years you spent chasing a ghost. Do you know what that did to us? Do you know how many pack members we lost because you weren't there to protect them? How many?" Connor's voice was deadly quiet. 17. 17 people died in territory disputes you didn't address. Challenges you didn't answer. Threats you ignored. Cade's voice shook. "I begged you to let her go. To focus on the pack. And you looked at me like I was the enemy. You became the enemy when you decided to betray me. I became necessary when you stopped being an alpha." The words echoed. Heavy. Final. Connor stood. "Cade Morrison, 2nd of the Northern Territory. I am stripping you of your title and banishing you from this pack." Gasps around the table. Cade went pale. "Connor, you have until sunset to leave the territory. If you're still here after that, you will be executed for treason. You can't do this." "I just did." Connor's eyes flashed amber. "And if I ever see you again, I will kill you myself." Cade looked around the table, searching for support. No one met his eyes. Finally, he looked at Ophelia. "This is your fault. All of it. He was a good alpha before you. Strong. Focused. And then you left and broke him." Ophelia held his gaze. "A good alpha doesn't fall apart when one person leaves. A good alpha adapts. Grows. Connor's not broken. He's human. And maybe that's what the pack actually needs." Cade's lip curled. "You'll regret coming back." "Is that a threat?" Connor's voice was soft. "Dangerous. It's a promise." Cade turned and walked out. The door slammed behind him. The silence was deafening. Helena spoke first. The coalition. The other packs. What do we do about them? We prepare, Connor said. We shore up our defenses. We reach out to our allies. And we make it very clear that any challenge will be met with force. And Ophelia? Another council member asked. What's her role in this? Connor looked at her. That's up to her. All eyes turned to Ophelia. She took a breath. I'm not here to be a symbol. Or a weapon. I'm here because this is my pack too. And if you'll have me, I want to help protect it. Helena smiled. Cold. Sharp. Welcome home, Luna. The word sent chills down Ophelia's spine. Luna. She'd never wanted that title. But looking at Connor, at the hope in his eyes, she realized something. Maybe it wasn't about wanting it. Maybe it was about earning it. Chapter 4. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of preparation. Ophelia threw herself into pack business with a ferocity that surprised everyone, including herself. She sat in on territory negotiations, reviewed security protocols, met with families who'd lost members during Connor's absence. Each meeting was harder than the last. A mother who'd lost her son in a border dispute. A father whose daughter had been killed in a challenge Connor never answered. Children who'd grown up without parents because their alpha had been too broken to lead. Cade's words echoed in her head. 17 people died. And she'd been hiding. Safe. While Connor's grief had cost lives. The guilt sat in her chest like a stone. You're doing it again, Connor said. They were in his office. Late. The rest of the hall was quiet. Ophelia looked up from the reports spread across the desk. Doing what? Blaming yourself. He crossed the room. Leaned against the desk beside her. I can feel it through the bond. The guilt. The shame. 17 people, Connor. I know. If I hadn't left, then you would have been miserable. And eventually, you would have done something drastic. His voice was gentle. What happened wasn't your fault. It was mine. I let my grief consume me. I stopped being an alpha. That's on me. Not you. Ophelia closed her eyes. The bond hummed between them. She could feel his sincerity. His regret. His determination to do better. How do we fix this? We start by not making the same mistakes. He took her hand. The gathering's in 5 days. Every pack in the region will be there. Including the coalition. We need to be ready. What's the plan? Strength. Unity. Show them we're not weak. That this pack is solid. He hesitated. There's something else. Something I need to ask you. The tone of his voice made her stomach drop. What? I want to announce you. Officially. As my mate. My Luna. He rushed on before she could interrupt. I know you never wanted that title. I know it scares you. But if the coalition thinks you're just some woman I brought back, they'll see you as leverage. A weakness. If they know you're my acknowledged mate, my equal, it changes the dynamic. You want to mark me. It wasn't a question. Only if you want it. His thumb traced circles on her palm. I meant what I said. This is your choice. All of it. But Ophelia, I'm asking. Not as your alpha. As your mate. As someone who's spent 8 years regretting that he didn't fight harder to keep you. His voice dropped. Let me mark you. Let me show the world you're mine. That we're in this together. The bond pulled. Insistent. Demanding. 8 years she'd fought it. 8 years she'd run from exactly this moment. But looking at Connor now, exhausted, scarred, carrying the weight of an entire pack, she realized something. She didn't want to run anymore. Okay, she whispered. His head snapped up. What? Mark me. Claim me. Do whatever you need to do. She stood. Faced him. But Connor? I'm claiming you too. This goes both ways. You're mine as much as I'm yours. Something fierce and possessive flashed in his eyes. Yeah. He kissed her. Hard. Desperate. 8 years of longing compressed into a single moment. His hands tangled in her hair. Her fingers dug into his shoulders. The bond caught fire, burning through every carefully constructed wall she'd built. When he pulled back, they were both breathing hard. Now, she asked. Now. He guided her to the desk. Swept the papers aside. Lifted her onto the surface. His hands framed her face, tilting her head to expose her neck. This is going to hurt, he warned. I know. His teeth grazed her throat. Once. Twice. Then bit down. Pain exploded through her. White hot. Blinding. She gasped. Her nails dug into his arms. But underneath the pain was something else. Something that felt like coming home, like pieces clicking into place. The bond snapped fully into existence. No more suppressants. No more walls. Just raw, unfiltered connection. She could feel everything. His love. His fear. His absolute conviction that he'd die before letting anyone hurt her. When he pulled back, blood stained his lips. The mark on her neck throbbed. Already healing. But permanent. Visible. Your turn, he said roughly. She didn't hesitate. Pulled him down. Bit into his shoulder. Tasted copper and salt. Felt him shudder against her. When she released him, they stayed pressed together. Foreheads touching. Hearts racing. We're really doing this, she whispered. Yeah, we are. A knock at the door shattered the moment. Connor growled. What? Helena's voice filtered through. Alpha, we have a situation. They separated reluctantly. Connor crossed to the door. Opened it. Helena stood there, expression grim. Her eyes flicked to Ophelia's neck. To the fresh mark. Something like approval crossed her face. What situation? Connor demanded. Cade's back. And he's not alone. They gathered in the main hall. Every pack member who could hold a weapon. Ophelia stood at Connor's side, the mark on her neck visible to everyone. She could feel their stares. Some approving. Some skeptical. Outside, Cade waited. Connor had wanted to face him alone. Ophelia had refused. So they walked out together. Into the courtyard where 50 wolves stood in formation. Cade stood at their center. No longer alone. No longer banished. Hello, brother, he called. Miss me? Connor's expression was stone. You have 10 seconds to leave before I kill you. Can't do that. See, I've been talking to some friends. Turns out a lot of people think you're not fit to lead anymore. Cade gestured to the wolves behind him. These are representatives from the coalition. They're here to witness your challenge. I don't accept challenges from traitors. That's cute. But you don't get a choice. Cade's smile was sharp. By ancient law, any pack member can challenge their alpha. You taught me that, remember? So here I am. Challenging. Connor's hands clenched. You'll lose. Maybe. But even if I do, you'll be weak. Injured. And then one of them, he gestured to the coalition wolves, will challenge you next. And the next. Until eventually you fall. It was a smart play. Ophelia had to give him that. Even if Connor won, he'd be worn down. Vulnerable. The coalition would pick him apart. Unless they changed the game. Ophelia stepped forward. I have a counteroffer. Connor's hand shot out. Grabbed her arm. Ophelia, don't. You want Connor? She continued, ignoring him. You think he's weak. Prove it. But not through challenges. Through negotiation. Cade laughed. What? You claim the pack's suffering under Connor's leadership. Fine. Show us your alternative. Tell us your plans. Your vision. Convince the pack that you're the better choice. Ophelia's voice rang clear. If they agree, Connor steps down willingly. No bloodshed. No war. Just a peaceful transition. The courtyard went silent. Cade's smile faltered. That's not how this works. It could be. Unless you're afraid you can't actually lead. Unless all you know how to do is destroy. She tilted her head. What's it going to be, Cade? You want to rule through fear? Or earn it through respect? He stared at her. Then at Connor. You'd really step down? If the pack chooses you? Connor's voice was steady. Yes. Lies. Ophelia could feel through the bond that Connor would never step down willingly. But Cade couldn't feel that. Cade could only see the opening. Fine, Cade said slowly. We negotiate. Tonight. Full pack assembly. Everyone votes. Agreed. Cade and his wolves withdrew. The courtyard emptied. Connor rounded on Ophelia. What the hell was that? Buying us time. Time for what? To show the pack who you really are. Not the broken alpha who grieved for 3 years. The one who's here now. Fighting for them. She grabbed his hand. You can't win a challenge, Connor. Not against Cade and 5 other alphas. But you can win their hearts. I'm not good at speeches. Then don't make a speech. Just tell the truth. The assembly hall was packed. Every pack member. Every family. The coalition representatives sat in the back, watching. Judging. Cade spoke first. His speech was polished. Practiced. He talked about strength. About the pack's losses. About the need for firm leadership in dangerous times. He was good. Ophelia had to admit that. Charismatic. Confident. He painted a picture of a pack that would be feared. Respected. Powerful. When he finished, the crowd applauded. Not everyone, but enough. Then it was Connor's turn. He stood, walked to the center of the hall. For a long moment, he just looked at his pack. At faces he'd known his entire life. Cade's right, he said finally. I failed you. I let my grief blind me. I let problems pile up while I chased ghosts. 17 people died because I wasn't there to protect them. His voice cracked. 17 lives I can never bring back. 17 families I destroyed. The room was silent. I can't undo that. I can't change the past. But I can promise you this, Connor's eyes blazed. It will never happen again. I will be the alpha you need. Not the one consumed by loss. Not the one who hides from hard decisions. But the one who fights. Who bleeds. Who stands between you and anything that threatens this pack. He turned to Cade. You talk about strength. About fear. But fear doesn't build loyalty. It builds resentment. And eventually resentment breeds rebellion. You want to rule through power? Fine. But power without trust is tyranny. And tyranny always falls. Back to the crowd. I'm not asking you to forget my mistakes. I'm asking you to give me a chance to fix them. To prove that I can be the alpha you deserve. And if I fail, if I ever put my own needs above the pack's again, then challenge me. Strip me of my title. I won't fight it. He paused. But don't choose Cade because you're angry with me. Choose him because you genuinely believe he'll lead better. Because I've seen what he's planning. I've heard the recordings. And his vision, it's not strength. It's brutality. It's exactly the kind of leadership that will destroy us from within. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Connor pulled out a small device. Played one of the recordings. Cade's voice filled the hall. Kill anyone loyal to Connor. Root out the weakness. Rule through fear. The recording cut off. Cade's face had gone pale. That's out of context. You were planning a massacre, Helena's voice cut through. She stood from her seat. I've reviewed all the recordings, Cade. All 12. And what I heard wasn't strategy. It was genocide. You were planning to purge anyone who questioned you. Other council members stood, one by one, showing their support for Connor. Cade looked around wildly. You're all fools. Connor's going to get you killed. He's weak. Emotional. He's human, Ophelia interrupted. She stepped forward. And maybe that's exactly what this pack needs. Not some tyrant who rules through fear. But someone who understands loss. Who knows what it means to fail and get back up. Who fights not because he's merciless, but because he cares. She turned to the crowd. I left 8 years ago because I thought Connor couldn't change. Because I thought he'd always choose power over people. But I was wrong. He's changed. He's learning. And if you give him a chance, if you give us both a chance, I promise we will build something stronger than fear. We'll build family. The room erupted. Voices overlapping. Some supporting Connor. Some supporting Cade. Helena called for a vote. Hands raised. Were counted. Recounted. The results came in. Connor won. Barely. But he won. Cade stood frozen. Staring at the numbers. This isn't over. Yes, Connor said quietly. It is. Leave, Cade. Now. Before I forget we were ever brothers. For a moment, Ophelia thought Cade would fight. Would shift. Would force Connor to kill him. But then something in Cade's expression crumbled. He looked old. Tired. Defeated. You're making a mistake, he said hoarsely. All of you. He turned and left. The coalition representatives followed. Their message clear. The challenge would come. Maybe not today. But soon. The hall slowly emptied. Ophelia and Connor stood alone in the center. We just made powerful enemies, Connor said. I know. The gathering in 3 days. They're going to come at us hard. Let them. Ophelia took his hand. We'll be ready. He pulled her close. Pressed his forehead to hers. Thank you. For coming back. For believing in me. Always. The gathering was held on neutral ground. A massive clearing surrounded by forest. Tents and pavilions dotted the landscape. Hundreds of wolves. Dozens of packs. Connor and Ophelia arrived just after dawn. The mark on her neck was visible. Intentional. A statement. Whispers followed them. The dead Luna. The Merciless Alpha King. Together again. The coalition was already there. 5 alphas. Cade stood with them. He didn't look at Connor. The gathering opened with formalities. Territory reports. Alliance updates. The usual politics. Then came the challenges. The first alpha stood. Young. Ambitious. Connor Stormridge. I challenge your right to lead the Northern Territory. Connor didn't hesitate. I accept. They fought in the center of the clearing. Shifted. Two massive wolves tearing into each other. It was brutal. Vicious. Connor was stronger, but the other alpha was faster. The fight lasted 20 minutes. Connor won. Barely. Before he could shift back, a second alpha challenged. Then a third. Ophelia watched in horror as Connor fought. And fought. And fought. Blood soaked the grass. His movements slowed. Each fight harder than the last. This was the plan. Wear him down. Break him. After the fourth fight, Connor collapsed. Still in wolf form. Sides heaving. Blood matting his fur. The fifth alpha stood. One more, Stormridge. Then your territory is mine. Connor tried to stand. Fell. Ophelia's heart shattered. The bond screamed. He was dying. She could feel it. She stepped into the clearing. No more. The crowd went silent. The fifth alpha laughed. What's this? The little Luna thinks she can stop me. I'm invoking ancient right, Ophelia said. Her voice didn't shake. The right of the mate. You want the Northern Territory? You go through me first. Gasps rippled through the gathering. The right of the mate was old. Rarely used. It allowed a Luna to fight in her alpha's place if he was incapacitated. The catch? If she lost, both she and Connor would die. Ophelia, no. Connor's voice was barely a whisper. She ignored him. Faced the fifth alpha. Well, you wanted a fight. Here I am. The alpha smiled. You can't be serious. Try me. He shifted. A massive gray wolf. Easily twice her size. Ophelia closed her eyes. For 8 years she'd suppressed her wolf. Buried it. But now, with the bond fully formed and Connor's life on the line, she let it free. The shift was agony. Bones breaking. Reforming. Fur erupting from her skin. But when it was done, she stood on 4 legs. Smaller than her opponent. Faster. The gray wolf lunged. Ophelia dodged. Used her size to her advantage. She couldn't overpower him. But she could outsmart him. She led him in circles. Wore him down. Waited for openings. When he lunged again, she went low. Tore into his front leg. He howled. Stumbled. She didn't stop. Went for the throat. The fight was over in minutes. The gray wolf shifted back. Clutching his bleeding throat. I yield. Ophelia shifted back. Stood over him. Tell your coalition this. The Northern Territory is not weak. We are not broken. And if you come for us again, I will personally tear out the throat of every single alpha who challenges my mate. She turned, walked back to Connor, collapsed beside him. He shifted back, pulled her into his arms. You're insane. You're welcome. Around them, the gathering erupted. Some in outrage, some in awe. But the challenges stopped. Helena appeared with pack healers. They worked on Connor's wounds. Bandaged. Stitched. Ophelia held his hand through all of it. Did we win? He asked weakly. Yeah, we won. 3 months later, the Northern Territory was thriving. New alliances. Stronger borders. Families healing. Ophelia stood at the window of Connor's office. Their office now, watching pack members train in the courtyard below. The mark on her neck had faded to a silver scar. Beautiful. Permanent. Connor came up behind her. Wrapped his arms around her waist. What are you thinking about? How different everything is. Good different. Yeah, good different. She leaned back against him. I was so scared of this. Of being Luna. Of losing myself. But I didn't lose anything. I just became more. You were always more. He kissed her temple. You just needed the space to see it. A knock at the door interrupted them. Helena entered without waiting. Alpha. Luna. We have news. What kind of news? Connor asked. Good news for once. Helena smiled. 3 more packs want to form alliances. And Cade. She paused. Cade's requested permission to return. Not as second. Just as a pack member. He wants to make amends. Connor and Ophelia exchanged glances. What do you think? He asked her. She considered. Everyone deserves a second chance. Even traitors. But he comes back on our terms. Probation. Supervised. 1 wrong move and he's out. Forever. Connor nodded. Tell him yes. But he answers to both of us. Not just me. Both. Helena's smile widened. As you wish, Alpha. Luna. She left. Connor turned Ophelia in his arms. You know what this means? What? It means we actually did it. We fixed what was broken. Built something stronger. We did. She kissed him. Soft. Sweet. Together. The bond hummed between them. No longer painful. No longer demanding. Just there. Constant. Comforting. Right. 8 years she'd run from this. From him. From herself. But standing here now, marked and mated and whole, Ophelia realized something. Sometimes you have to run away to find your way home. And sometimes home is exactly where you left it. Waiting.